Team Europe all smiles today in the first day of the Ryder Cup. The U.S. feels like they have maybe a mountain to climb in day two, but the captain didn't feel that way in his press conference. We have all things Ryder Cup looking into Saturday's matches. Friday is over. Saturday Foursomes on the docket. Chris Brees here in Florida. Will Gray and Paul Hodowanek are both on site at Bethpage Black. Paul, you talked to Captain Keegan. Are there concerns for you about how maybe confident he feels and he shouldn't be confident? What do you think?
A bit concerned. He was understandably a bit defensive after, a 5.5, 2.5 session on home soil. This is objectively just a very bad start for the U.S. team, and it was particularly bad in the foursome session in the morning in which they lost 3-1. Yet Keegan Bradley is rolling with the exact same pairings, particularly Harris English and Colin Morikawa drew a lot of attention in that media press conference because they did not play well. They were down 4 very, very quickly. That is not a matchup. We talked about it yesterday. Not a matchup statistically that matches well up at all. In fact, it's the worst possible statistical pairing that you could put together per Data Golf, but they're running that one right back out there. Albeit we're changing out Cam Young for Justin Thomas. Cam Young obviously played very well. But yes, it was a concerning press conference because I get wanting to stick to a plan. You don't want to kind of hijack this thing and get these guys kind of on their back foot. Yet at the same time, you are losing a home Ryder Cup by a significant margin that we just have not seen. Like, that is grounds to change something, particularly when they did not play well. So I think the stubbornness, if this doesn't pay off tomorrow, and then the U.S. goes on and loses, is going to be the thing that sticks with us from the Keegan Bradley captaincy.
Yeah, Keegan in his press conference was big on, hey, this is just the first quarter of the football game and we've got a long way to go. The problem is, tomorrow is more than just the second quarter. Tomorrow's probably the second quarter and the third quarter, even though there's so many matches on Sunday. And I'm more concerned for the U.S. having seen these Saturday pairings, Chris, than I was just by what happened today on the course. It blows my mind that he is running back with Colin Morikawa and Harris English, let alone that they've been slotted next to invincible Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood. That feels like the steepest hill of the week to climb for a potential point. And looking at how these have lined up, you've got Scheffler and Henley. Scotty Scheffler 0-3 is not something I expected as a possibility 24 hours ago, but it very well could happen going up against, Hovland and McIntyre. They'll be favored, but it's not a guarantee. And then that match 3 is a clash of the Titans. We get Xander Cantlay against Rahm and Hatton. The story of the day on both sides was that Luke Donald got 3.5 out of 4 points from Rory McIlroy and Jon Rahm, and Keegan Bradley got 0 out of 4 points from Bryson and Scotty Scheffler.
We're going to get into these matches tomorrow morning in a second, but Will, I want to continue this point because I thought about this a lot today, and the last thing that you just said hammers this point home. We can talk about who's paired with who. We can talk about who should tee off on what hole. We can talk about whatever we want. At the end of the day, if Jon Rahm's going to play the way he's playing and Rory's going to get 1.5 points, should have gotten 2 points today, if those two guys are going to play the way they're going to play and Scotty Scheffler is going to play the way he did, Rahm played like world number 1 today. Scotty Scheffler didn't. I saw a stat from Justin Raywell that said the last 6 U.S. world number 1 players have all lost in foursomes in the Ryder Cup. If we're going to lose these 2 matches, 4 points in a day, the rest of your team has to play perfect. And I don't care about the bad decisions that your captain is making when it's not even close because Europe's making those putts and America's not. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and listen, I would throw Tommy Fleetwood in that mix as well, along with Rory and Rahm playing so well. So I think that's definitely a factor. But, Scotty Scheffler going 0-2 without even seeing the 17th tee is really pretty remarkable. And as you look into, how is the U.S. going to come back in this, you probably have to get at least 2.5 points on Saturday morning. And so you feel like maybe you got an edge in that opening match. But looking at those last 3, it's hard to find 1.5 points given how strong the Europeans have been.
I mean, we're looking at this from an aspect, because, when this day ended, you made the point, Will made the point that 5.5, 2.5 didn't feel that bad. Obviously, 2 years ago when it was 6.5 to 1.5, Paul, it was way different. It was on the road. Yes, Keegan's presser was concerning, but the fact that we got this Colin and English pairing, they're a sacrificial lamb. That's fine. We know that. What I'm looking at here is, again, the Bryson match has to go in the United States' favor, and the Scheffler match has to go in the United States' favor. Whatever happens in the middle there happens. If they don't win both those matches, Paul, I think this thing's over. I don't think it's over yet, but if they don't win those two matches, if your stars don't play like your stars, Bryson goes 0-2 today. This is what we're looking at. The U.S. stars are not good right now, and the Europe stars are good. That's plain and simple on the paper and what we have to see tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think in my head, because we're now just trying to map out how does the U.S. have a path to victory here, I think they need to be trailing by 2 points or less. So how do you get to 9-7? That means you need 4.5 points. So Will said 2.5 points is what he needs from this session. It could be, 1, and then they win 3.5 in four ball. It could be
Either
2,
way.
2.5. Like it can be any combo. I think they need to be trailing by 2, but I think there is something in the fact that you just need to feel like you're getting back into this thing, and that's why foursomes is so important. But when you look down that Europe roster, it's just hard to feasibly look at that and feel confident that they can beat both the Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood pairing and the John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton pairing, and not in a good way for the U.S. Like that John Rahm and Tyrrell Hatton pairing is going up against your best pairing.
Correct.
But Europe played better of those two. So I think if this is going to happen, like I would look at that match and say, if Xander and Pat can knock Rahm off, kind of stifle his momentum, because if he's just going to go out and win all 5 matches, like you're not going to win this. So I think, at some point probably have to beat him. So maybe in that way you have your best pairing going up against him, but also that's dangerous because if they win and then you've just wasted your best foursomes pairing on maybe a grouping you were never going to beat in the first place, that's really tough. So these are the conversations we're having now. The margin of error is just so slim for the U.S. at this point. Like we're looking at this, Europe only has to get to 14 points. That's what, like 8.5 points over the next 2 days. There's 12 singles matches. There's 8 matches tomorrow. You look at what we saw today and it feels impossible that they're not somehow going to get those points. U.S. obviously still has a chance, but it just doesn't feel great right now.
And Chris, I just want to get back to something you had said, because I think the same way. When you look at this, and it feels like English and Morikawa are the sacrificial lambs. In the Ryder Cup, you don't need sacrificial lambs. You have 4 guys
You just can't have it.
That aren't playing. You don't need – no one's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to play all 12 guys. I would love to see J.J. Spawn back on the course, given how he played Friday afternoon. I would have put Justin Thomas as one of your emotional leaders back on the course, even though he didn't have his best stuff on Friday. Keegan said he has a plan, and it feels like they're sticking to the plan. This plan blows my mind, and it's certainly something that if English and Morikawa lose tomorrow, and if the U.S. goes on to lose this Ryder Cup, that's going to be one of the biggest pieces of this, is going back to not only how did you come up with this pairing, but then how did you run it back again in the same format after they get crushed on the opening day.
I know you guys want to get on the next bus. Let's go through these 4 matches in the next 5 minutes. I like Bryson and Cameron Young. Even if Cameron Young brings 70% of what he brought today, I think Bryson gets better tomorrow. It's just in his DNA. Matt Fitzpatrick gains, it was 4.8 strokes on the field today. Not going to happen tomorrow. Ludwig can play a lot better, but I like them, the United States, in match 1 there. Will?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Bryson and Cam Young, I like that pairing. Cam Young is someone who's able to play the same ball roughly that Bryson does. Not everyone on the U.S. team can do that. And I do think that the U.S., if you ask me which of these 4 am I most confident in the U.S. winning, it is match number 1.
And I'm not even that confident in it, to be honest. I might agree with you, but I'm not that confident in it. I think one of the, Luke Donald's boldest strategy he had was splitting up Ludwig and Victor to start this Ryder Cup, and they lost one of the matches, but it looks like they split it up for a good reason to pair Ludwig and Matt together. Maybe Fitzpatrick doesn't have quite the match he did this last one, doesn't gain that many strokes, but they won by such a big margin. Like, he can play a little worse, and I still think they can win.
If you want me to talk about match 2, we can, but no one's beaten Fleetwood, and Rory is not missing the putts that he missed late tomorrow. I'm sorry, he's not. Do you want to move on to the next match? Are we wasting our time?
I mean, we can certainly talk about it. I mean, looking at these lines, Rory and Fleetwood are a minus 215 favorite.
Wow.
That is an absurd but understandable line given how well they played and how poorly English and Morikawa played. But I think odds makers also understand just the disparity in this match. It's not a guarantee, but it's as close as we're going to get in any of these team matches to a guaranteed point for one team.
I will just say, like, these guys have a lot of pride, and Colin and Harris just got boat raced. It didn't look close. They're getting, killed online. Keegan's getting killed online for putting them together. Like, there's enough variance in golf that 18 holes the next day, things can go differently. Would that have been the process that I go for, hoping that happens? No. But it can happen. Like, these are still very good players. Would I bet on it? No. But that, like, if I'm sitting here tomorrow and they've won, I'm shocked, but, like, I can see how it happens.
Match number 3, to me, is the difference for the United States in winning the Ryder Cup or not. They lose that match tomorrow. It's early, I know, but they lose that match. I don't see them winning the Ryder Cup. If they win that match, I think there's serious momentum. I'm going to love the Cantlay and Rahm back and forth. Do we think Xander's playing better golf than we gave him credit for? Because I was impressed. Maybe he should have played in the afternoon, another one of those what-ifs. I think this is dead even, Paul, going into tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I had thought maybe Xander instead of JT in the afternoon pairings on Friday. That didn't end up mattering.
Didn't matter.
Cam Young won, and JT did enough and hyped up the crowd enough. So I think he's playing solid. They obviously were the buoys for them to make that first session not just be a complete disaster. But yeah, if I'm going to pick a side, I'm going to pick Jon Rahm's side.
This is the closest match, I think, in the eyes of oddsmakers. Certainly, DK's got them at about minus 125 for the Europeans, so it's a slight edge. I agree, it's a pivotal match, but I'm not going to go as far as you are, Chris. I still think there's a path to a 2-2 split for the Americans in this morning session that doesn't include winning this match, and I think that's not ideal, but it will be enough to at least give you a chance to go into the afternoon and think, hey, we can go 3-1 and get it back to 8.5, 7.5, or something like that. So we're not on life support just yet. It's not the must win. I think the last one that we'll get into here is really the must win. That's much more important for me. If I'm Keegan, then Xander and Patrick Cantlay is a nice to have. Scotty and Russ is a need to have.
Yeah, predicate match 3 on match 4. That's a good way to put it. Scotty Scheffler, what was it? The last 4 holes finally turned it on. It didn't matter because Rahm was so good, and Straka came out of nowhere to have a crucial hole at the end, which made a lot of difference. I don't think Scheffler plays poorly tomorrow, and I really think Russell Henley will respond tomorrow. The nerves clearly got to him. We've seen he's a world-class player. I think it's a different Russell Henley tomorrow. The question is the guys on the other side, because Victor Hovland wasn't good. Robert McIntyre showed flashes. Those guys are going to play better tomorrow too, but I still would give the edge to Henley and Scheffler.
I would give the edge. I don't give as much of an edge as oddsmakers do. DK's got this out. DraftKings says it's a minus 200
no way.
For Scheffler and Henley. That seems aggressive because McIntyre and Hovland did show a bit of life in the back 9 of their match. They tied it up with Cantlay and Xander, even though they ended up losing that match. I'm just really concerned with Scotty Scheffler on the greens. He did not make a birdie in 4 balls on his own ball until the par 5 13th. He's really having a tough time reading these greens, getting the speed right. And I think that there's a chance that this could get away from him pretty quickly if in his first 6, 7, 8 holes, these guys don't lock in and really get it going. I think Scotty is kind of back on his heels, which is very un-Scotty-like.
Yeah, 2 years ago, if he putted like that in a Ryder Cup, I would say he's not going to putt well all week. This year has been a different story for him. I know it didn't go well today. I'm betting it's at least a little bit better tomorrow. Again, shows a little pride. It's a match they need to have. I think he feels that weight tomorrow, I think, and they go out and win this match.
So as we wrap things up here, Paul, you had made the comment about 9-7. That was my initial thought, was anything 9-7 or better, I think the U.S. has a shot. We're not looking at Medina or Brookline here, those 2 miracles that were 10-6 going into Sunday. Europe's too good if it's anything worse than 9-7. Do you guys feel differently?
Maybe 9.5 to 6.5. You can make a call, but as Paul noted, we were walking out there. Europe is the defending champ, right? So they only have to get to 14. That's an extra half point. I definitely think 10-6 is a bridge too far. 9.5 to 6.5, you can at least have my attention, and I can foresee a path to victory. But I agree with Paul. 9-7 has to be the goal. So you got to go out and get 4.5 out of these 8 points, you've got to win the day if you're Keegan Bradley and the Americans tomorrow.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, but if I'm forecasting this, I'd put it more likely that tomorrow we're looking at a 10-6 or a 9.5, 6.5. So that's what I think they need to get to. Based on what we've seen so far, there's just no reason that I'm picking that to happen.
All right. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Get some rest.
Sounds good.